Last time we were using a card game example for our classes, and we would say, okay, the card has a rank and a suit, and these are attributes. Today I want to give a different example, not better or worse, but just different, so that if you were looking at that and you were thinking, not quite sure, then maybe seeing this, you'll go, oh, okay, I see what it's all about. And you'll be able to do both. This, let me get the text a little bigger. This is going to be a person class. So a very common thing that you'll probably see if you look up examples of classes in videos or whatever is that we'll get a bit of info about a person, their name, age, address, some kind of ID number, etc. And then we'll put that all in an object and say, hey, object, you hold on to this stuff, and I'm going to ask you if I need it. So for that, I'm going to hit pass. We'll fill it in later. And in this program, we're going to imagine it's like a office secretary entering stuff into a database. So you're going to type the name, and then it says, oh, do you want to add another person? And you can type the name of another person, and so on. So we're going to have a list of people that's going to get added to, and I'm going to have a little loop, and in this loop it's going to be like, oh, we had one guy, we had another guy, etc. This is going to be, let's have a first name, and then we'll do a last name, and then I'm going to say, well, let's create a person with those attributes. Okay, I'm going to go people.append because we're going to be adding it to our list. A person with these names. And obviously we could add more. We could have you enter other stuff. But often there's some things you enter and there's some things you don't. Like, for example, if we were going to have an ID number, well, the computer would generate that ID number. It wouldn't ask you to make one up and type it in, right? Or if there was going to be an email address, it could maybe generate it from what we've already got, like its first initial last name or first name dot last name or something like that. So it's not always just arguments that get sent to the init from outside that you type. It's often created other ways. Now, what happened? Did I accidentally delete that? Let's say we're going to have a little loop where you go again, okay, where it's like enter Y to go again, or anything else to quit. That seems reasonable, although it doesn't fit when I make the text really big. And so I'm going to say if again is not Y, will break. So if you hit Y, you enter John Smith. Hey, do you want to go again? Yeah. Then we can go again. If not, we'll just hit something else. And after that, theoretically, this would be adding it to a database saved on file or saved on the cloud. But for now, let's just print the list, okay? I'm going to say print people, which is not the best way to do it, but we'll see what happens. So the idea is like, all right, we're going to enter a name, and then it's going to say, wait, we don't have the init set up, so let's do that. It's going to take self. It's going to take, I'm just going to say first and last instead of the whole dang thing. And so first name is first that we're getting from here, and now we're writing it down in our attributes. And let's do the thing I said with the email. So like if we're generating emails for employees or students or something, it's following a clear pattern. So let's go first dot last at, let's say, at university.edu. Let's say this is school email. And when you go to college, you'll have a school email like this. It might be like, you know, A Davis at, you know, bellarmine.edu or something. And yeah, we would need to add a little catch for if there's an overlap, like your A Davis, but there's already an A Davis, but we'll ignore that for now. And we could add other stuff to generate an ID, to assign blank spots that'll be filled later, whatever, but we'll keep it simple. Now, here's the problem. If we're going to do this and we want to print them to show the stuff, or if we looked up one later and we wanted to print it, then let me show you how it goes. I'm going to do 2 just to give us something to work with. Then if you print a string or an integer, Python knows how to print that. It's got something ready to go where it says, hey, I know what you want to see. Even though I have other information about the object, I'm going to give you the stuff you want. But when we make a user-created object, that's not automatically in there. See, it just gives you like, hey, there is a person object at this particular spot in memory, and there is another person object at this particular spot, but it doesn't know what you want to see. It doesn't know how to do it in a useful, pretty, visually appealing way. So the way to do that, and you've already seen me do this in the string for the card, is to define the str, and then whatever you put in here, that's what it'll do when you hit print. So like if we want to print this, and you know, instead of squishing them together with brackets and commas, let's give it a slightly better setup. No. For each one, we're going to print it on its own line instead of all this nonsense. So that'll be slightly nicer to see. But anyway, the assignment for you guys today is to do this part. Just this. I'll give you the rest. But to fill in the str dunder, it's called a dunder when you have these double unders because you're defining something that is a change to one of the built-in properties or methods of a class, and you're defining how it works. Like, for example, you could define the less than or greater than or whatever, and then you're not actually naming it. You're basically never mentioning underscore underscore str or underscore underscore init or something like that. You're just using built-in things like print, less than, whatever, and this will call up the part that it needs if you have defined that to be different than the default. So how can you know what to put in here? Well, you can probably figure it out, or you can look at my card example because I defined the str for that, and you can follow that pattern, or you can just try stuff and see what happens, or you can Google, you know, str method Python, and it'll have people showing you how you need it, but how you do it. But this could be done in a few ways. In my card example, I have something built in the init where it puts together a few attributes and then it uses that. You could do that. You could have it all happen here, or you could just do it, squish it all into one line and not even give them variable names or anything. So I wanted to have a very small assignment where A, you just see a new class and you get used to seeing different classes and getting used to how they work in general. But B, we want to practice this str because it's really nice to be able to print your thing and actually see something useful instead of a little ugly description like this. Thanks.